Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. I am reporting on the migrant border crisis. I am in El Paso, Texas, right in front of the Annunciation House. The Annunciation House works with numerous church and faith-based organizations throughout the state of Texas and even New Mexico when it comes to the migrants, the individuals that cross into the United States illegally. Attorney General of Texas, Ken Paxton, went to this location recently and handed them a subpoena. And with the subpoena, he wanted financial records. He wanted to know things, what was going on at the Annunciation House and who they work with and those type of records. Now it's all in this litigation because Annunciation House said, no, we're not going to do that. Then there was a lawsuit and Ken Paxton suing them back. Let me spin the camera around, just show you this place right here, because this is centered around the migrant crisis, the Annunciation House. And there's actually two locations. There was a rally here. Numerous faith-based organizations and supporters of the Annunciation House had a rally in front of here in support. And they say no to Ken Paxton's demands. They say no to what he was asking for. I have some new updates, right? Because today is Monday, and a state judge has blocked Paxton's efforts to get the subpoena. And this is interesting information. Let me read to you this information. Look at this right here. And we're going to read this report because it came out today, and it's dealing with this place right here. It says, El Paso judge blocks Ken Paxton's efforts to subpoena Annunciation House. And it says, the judge questioned Paxton's true motives to investigate the shelter, saying there is a real and credible concern the state has a predetermined goal of shutting down the Annunciation House. And it came from this judge right here. This judge right here, the judge's name is State District Judge Francisco Dominguez, the 205th District Court. Now let's walk down the street a little bit. Let me just spin the camera around. So in this report, it says a state judge on Monday, today, blocked Attorney General Ken Paxton's attempts to investigate an El Paso migrant shelter and questioned the state's intentions behind demanding documents from a non-government organization, an NGO. In an order essentially blocking Paxton's subpoena of the Annunciation House, State District Court Judge Francisco Dominguez suggested the Attorney General may want to shut down the network of migrant shelters for political reasons. That's something the judge told Ryan Bash, an assistant attorney general, during a court hearing last week. The Attorney General's efforts to run roughshod over Annunciation House without regard to due process or fair play, calling into question the true motivation for the Attorney General's attempt to prevent Annunciation House from providing the humanitarian and social services that it provides, Dominguez wrote in a Monday's order. There is a real and credible concern that the attempt to prevent the Annunciation House from conducting business in Texas was predetermined. The Annunciation House has asked Dominguez to determine if it was obligated to release the documents Paxton's office requested. In his ruling, Dominguez said that Paxton's office must go through the state's court system if it wants to investigate the nonprofit Annunciation House. Both the Attorney General and the Annunciation House are now obligated to litigate this matter within the guidelines set forth by the Texas Rule of Civil Procedure, created to ensure fair play between the litigants. Interesting, right? In early February, Paxton's office sent 3 lawyers to Annunciation House seeking records about the shelter's clients and gave the shelter director, Ruben Garcia, a day to turn over the documents. When Garcia's lawyer, Jerome Wesovich, responded that it wasn't enough time and asked the judge to determine which document shelter officials are legally allowed to release, the AG's office interpreted the delay as non-compliant and filed a countersuit to shut down the shelter network. Right here, Annunciation House. In court documents, the Attorney General's office said the Annunciation House appears to be engaged in the business of human smuggling, operating an illegal stash house, and encouraging immigrants to enter the country illegally because it provides educational and legal services. Among the documents the state is seeking are logs of clients' names, A grant application the shelter has filed with the federal government, materials it has provided to migrants, and a list of all the shelters Garcia operates. There's one down the street, Sacred Heart. A lot of people out front of Sacred Heart. I put a video out there. During the court hearing on Thursday, Bash told Dominguez that Greg Abbott asked for an investigation into nonprofits that provided an assistance to migrants. Bash said the case has unnecessarily escalated, and the documents the state has asked for are material that they need. He said state officials have offered to negotiate with Annunciation House. Dominguez admonished Bash over how he categorized the back and forth between the state and Annunciation House. This is the part of where you're starting to offend my intelligence, the judge said. You did not offer to negotiate. You did not offer to act in good faith. So the judge feels like the state of Texas and Ken Paxton has a predetermined, they want to shut this down and the other migrant shelters in the area. So what's your thoughts about this? We'll see what happens. Apparently it's going to get litigated, but this is where it's at. They're a network. They work with numerous other charitable organizations, faith-based, throughout Texas and in New Mexico. I am covering this case. We'll pay attention to what happens. It's going to go through the court system now. What's your thoughts on the Annunciation House? JLR Investigates out here investigating the migrant crisis in El Paso and New Mexico. New Mexico is right, Santa Teresa, a little bit to the northwest of here. Be in that area, checking out the border wall. It seems like I know where the hot spots are. 1,000 people a day are crossing in this El Paso sector. We will talk soon. Check out my migrant playlist. JLR Investigates, boots on the ground. Everyone be safe.